In the United States in the 1950s and 60s, it was illegal to be caught engaging in what was known as homosexual activity, which ranged anywhere from cross-dressing to drinking and dancing with the same gender. Homophobia and transphobia were so violent and normalized in society that the mafia was often paid to protect the bar patrons. Police took bribes from gay and trans people as to not expose their supposed crimes to the media, mainly newspapers, as a means to humiliate them, ruin families, and leave them jobless, destitute, and alone. On June 28, 1969, in the Stonewall Inn, which was a well-known gathering place for New Yorkers who were LGBTQ, homeless youth, sex workers, drag queens, and other marginalized people, which at the time was, in fact, ran by the mafia. There was a police raid, not unusual, at 1:20 a.m. with approximately 205 people at the bar at the time, leaving people to run and flee for their safety, whether it be physical, emotional, or societal. But as a crowd began to gather around the bar, they were surrounded by the police, it suddenly grew eerily quiet. As the lights went up, they were escorted out of the bar. They began being loaded into the police trucks like they were cattle. A bystander suddenly shouted, "Gay power!" And others began to sing and chant the lyrics to "We Shall Overcome," while people began to throw beer cans and pennies at the police who were taking away their loved ones. Behind the scenes, people were being beaten within the bar. All of a sudden, though, out struts a Miss Stormy DeLarvery, a biracial butch lesbian. She was handcuffed and repeatedly skipping away and running from the cops who were trying to take her away into the police wagons, as she had been caught by police for dressing outside of her gender and dancing with the other ladies. She paused and looked around at the crowd that was just more or less twiddling their thumbs and causing mischief, all the while growing tense. She suddenly shouted, "Why don't you guys do something?" And with that, the crowd erupted into a riot. Police tires were immediately slashed so that people's peers, loved ones, and friends would not be able to be arrested and taken away to their shame. They could flee, they could run, they could survive. Beer cans continued to be thrown, bricks were picked up, and one of those bricks went directly through the front window of the Stonewall Inn. Upon seeing this, the homeless youth and street queens, as they were called, which were simply trans women and drag queens who were often impoverished and homeless, they looked upon the scene in front of them and began to set fire to the garbage cans that were around the Stonewall Inn in direct action against the discrimination they faced due to being poor. And by 2 a.m., the Stonewall Inn was ablaze. Marsha P. Johnson, a black trans woman and drag queen, came upon the scene and witnessed the whole sight in front of her, from the fire to the riots to the police. She found a shot glass and picked it up and threw it directly at a mirror and exclaimed, "I got my civil rights." The riot went on until July 3rd, nearly a week. And it wasn't just at the Stonewall Inn, it had spread out to surrounding areas such as Christopher Park and Christopher Street. The action didn't end, even though the violence and riots and protests did. 3 different grassroots organizations were formed to bring awareness and basic civil rights to those in the LGBTQ community of New York City. Because of a riot that occurred 51 years ago against police brutality, homophobia, and transphobia, I'm able to safely stand here in front of you through your TV screens, through your computer screens, your iPhone, however you're watching this at this moment. 51 years later, I'm able to safely stand here and announce that my name is Taylor Linloff and I am proudly queer.